Hey, Michelle. Hey, Patricia and Laura.
Hi, Xiaoli.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
Good. Oh, it looks like Clarissa's here too. Let me see. Okay. Oh, good. Okay.
It's live.
Have a few more minutes. Patricia, do you have a slides? Do you need to show slides?
I don't have any slides. I don't really have much of a speaking role. I think I'm going to be volunteering to do a doodle poll in the middle of August for a meeting in the middle of September.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh.
Hi, everyone. Hey, I'm trying to do with two computers, so I have my notes on one and slides on another.
That sounds good.
Yeah, let me set it up better. So I'm going to disappear for a couple of minutes to set up my
No problem.
second computer.
Okay. Okay, we have about 1 minute. We can start the session. So Larisa, let me know if you need more time for setting up. Okay to start, Larisa and Patricia?
Good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So then first I will just start a recording and then I will start speaking. Hello, everyone. Welcome to LD4P, Non-Latin Materials Affinity Group. And today, and I think I'm very, very excited for this session, which will include a part of formal presentation, as well as sort of open meeting just for updates and the questions, and also what we want to do together for this group in the future. So let me first very briefly introduce myself. My name is Xiaoli Li. I'm head of content support services at the University of California, Davis Library. I am a facilitator and also the chat moderator for this session. And it's great honor for me to introduce two speakers for this session. So let me bring up my notes, even though I know them both, but I want to make sure I say it correctly. So first speaker is Larisa Walsh. She is head of metadata management services and a Slavic metadata librarian at University of Chicago. Together with me, Larisa has started and co-chaired the LD4P2 Non-Latin Script Materials Affinity Group. Larisa is very interested in exploring non-Latin scripts in the linked data environment. Second speaker is Patricia Thurston. She is a technical services unit manager at Yale University Libraries. Her team manages all aspects of area studies, acquisitions, and cataloging for non-Latin script collection material. I used to work at Yale University. She started out as a Slavic and East European catalog librarian and continues to enjoy all aspects of cataloging and cataloging training. Patricia earned her bachelor degree in linguistics and her MLIS from the University of Texas at Austin. With that, I'm going to turn to Larisa. But before that, I want to very quickly say, if you have questions, feel free to post at the chat and we will, Larisa and Patricia will answer them towards the end of the program. Thank you. Okay, Larisa, to you.
Yeah, thank you, Xiaoli, for the introduction. And I would like to welcome all our former and current member of the group and our guests. Welcome to our session for the LD4 conference on linked data building connections together. And today, my presentation is called Diverse Voices in Library Catalogs. That was one of the themes for this conference. And when I saw this, I thought, well, this is perfect. This is perfectly describes what the group has done and what the group would like to see in a linked data catalog, diverse voices in different scripts and different languages. That's what the group was exploring. So this group was formed as part of the LD4P2 grant, and the name that it was received after many discussions was a Non-Latin Script Materials Affinity Group. It was formed in April 2019. And the goals were to create a community of practice for sharing knowledge and develop best practices for cataloging non-Latin script materials in Sinopia. It was co-led by Xiaoli Li from University of California, Davis, and me. And we met bi-weekly, second and fourth Tuesday of the month over Zoom from April 29, 2019 through June 30, 2020. The group had and still has, I hope, a total of 57 cohort and non-cohort members. The group was on hold since last August, awaiting for the PCC decision on expansion of the PCC cataloging in Sinopia. Oh, I probably should do the slideshow so you don't have to look at my left pane. Okay, yeah, I think it's a little bit better. So in this presentation, I would like to give an overview of the group's work and express my greatest appreciation for the group's members' engagement, dedication, and expertise that they shared during this time with everyone. I hope it will be a refresher for its former and current members and introduction to the group for our guests. During the duration of the LD4P2 grant, the group created many metadata description sets for non-Latin resources, identified some issues, and discussed how non-Latin script data could be used and represented in Sinopia. Thorough Sinopia testing, discussions, consulting with the Sinopia developers, and enormous expertise of the group's members resulted in the creation of the document called Common Practices and Recommendations, which summarized best practices in native scripts cataloging in Sinopia developed by the members of the group. I will talk about some of these practices as well as some issues and their possible solutions today. Second document that came out of the group's work was best practices for cataloging translations, and which gave guidance for the use of native script and Romanized data in Sinopia for translations. And I will also touch on this today. Okay, let me close this. One of the big endeavors for the group as a kind of a starting point was a survey on Romanization. When the group was formed in April 2019, the Sinopia was not available yet, so the members of the group engaged in conversations about the future of transliteration. The group was aware of the Library of Congress decision to significantly reduce romanization in their BibFrame link data editor, as link data will be able to provide linking mechanisms to connect resources. This decision was a major shift from the widely practiced in the Western libraries Model A, non-Latin script data and parallel transliterated data in Roman script, to Model B, vernacular scripts only. Talks about moving to the Model B were happening in the cataloging community for some time, but this was a bold move, and the group wanted to have some reassurance that it will not have a negative impact on patrons, library staff, and systems used to manage resources in non-Latin script. Many Sinopia resource templates were based on the Library of Congress templates, and certain elements for romanization were missing from them. So members wanted to make an informed decision about limited romanization in Sinopia catalogas, and the group decided to conduct a survey which aimed to ask a simple question: is romanization still needed in library records? Survey was ready in September 2019, was distributed widely, received a huge response. We received 904 responses, and only the smaller number, 871, was used in analysis after cutting very partial and non-respondents. Sorry, not using the correct mouse. So the primary outcome of this survey was that absolute majority of respondents, librarians as well as non-librarians, considered romanization an important aid in many library operations, in doing research and providing reference services to users. The biggest negative impact on limited romanization would be on acquisitions and cataloging staff and staff involved in the processing of materials. The survey clearly indicated, probably once again, that even if technology can handle native scripts and library catalogs, there is a human factor that cannot be ignored. And one of the solutions that was suggested by many respondents to help technical services to deal with non-Latin scripts, some automated romanization, at least for scripts based on the alphabet, should be implemented, developed, and adapted in the local ILSs. As Xiaoli Li once called it, kind of transliteration on the fly, when the system will be able to determine the language and romanize it. That will be great, I think. And the full survey results is available from the LD4P2 webpage for the group. Oh, sorry. No, that's not. How to go back? Is it a backspace or I missed one? Yeah, I think it's a backspace. So in preliminary discussions of the group, some use cases were created. So we asked ourselves a question: what non-Latin cataloging community wants from linked data editor? What functionality a linked data editor should have in order to best represent a diversity of resources in non-Latin scripts, and how these resources will be found, identified, and support other users' tasks through the Sinopia's metadata description sets. So the 10 use cases were developed, 5 that were kind of a top priority. Without them, no non-Latin script cataloging was possible, and 5 others which were highly desirable too, but the group understood that some of them might not be available right away. And I will go over some of them in my next slides. And I have to say that Sinopia has exceeded our expectations in that most of the desired functions were available in the first months after Sinopia was released, and they were continued to be improved through the development cycle. Of course, one of the first functions that the group wanted to see and be successful and to be handled well as entering native script data in Sinopia. Sinopia handles well the input, search, and display of the more highly used, sorry. I'm dealing with 2 mouses here that are next to each other. Search and display of the more highly used native script characters. Native scripts can be entered in Sinopia by either copy and pasting into Sinopia from external resources such as OCLC Connection, Google Translate, Word documents, various internet tools, or entering native script directly into Sinopia by using the Diacritic picker. That's an embedded tool in Sinopia, the Google input tool from the Chrome browser, or Windows on-screen keyboard. There was a challenge, however, when copying from external sources is not feasible, using input tools or Diacritic picker were not considered the best solution. It was quite time consuming. Like I will, in my next slides, I will show some of the examples of entering from a Diacritic picker. So transliteration was, and entering diacritics was possible through using the Diacritic picker, which is the embedded tool platform for different scripts available in Sinopia. It's marked as a letter. I don't know if this is on the way or not. Let me put it over here. It's marked as a letter A with the umlaut in the right corner of each descriptive element and resource templates. It provides characters for vernacular scripts as well as Latin script characters that include diacritics. It's not a set of diacritics, but a set of letters combined with a diacritic. And currently, it includes characters for 19 scripts that are displayed here on the slide. So this is a screenshot from Sinopia, where a user tries to enter a diacritic for iBref for Russian word. Picker's list of scripts opened and a letter was selected from a romanization title. For a title in native script, each character should be selected from the Picker's filter. Several very common scripts are missing from Diacritic picker. The characters were better represented when the group was active in work in Sinopia testing. Currently, for example, I wasn't able to see, I didn't find the CGK scripts. Chinese, Japanese, and Korean are missing from Diacritic picker. Maybe there is another way that CGK community decided to go with. Maybe there is another embedded keyword that I'm not aware of, that we need to discuss that. But I just want to draw your attention that CGK scripts are missing in the Diacritic picker. Also missing some other scripts that are also here on the screen. I don't want to read through all of them. Some characters are still missing from existing tables. The biggest challenge that the users of a Diacritic picker encountered with is that you have to click through multiple tables to get the desired character. For example, to find diacritics used in Arabic, the user must search through the sets for Arabic, Arabic extended, Latin, Latin extended, symbols, and IPA, which is International Phonetic Code, to find the needed characters. And sometimes it's quite difficult to find where the character would be in what filter, in what table. So the group expressed desires to improve a diacritic picker, like arrange the filter list by language, not by script, that would eliminate the navigation problems that come with going between several script tables. Within right to left script lists, arrange the characters in alphabetical order when the first letter beginning on the right and subsequent letters going out to the left. Create a mouse over prompt with the name of the character or symbol. But the just a general recommendation that was developed for a use of a diacritic picker and entering a native scripts in general is to use diacritic picker for inserting single letters with diacritics or a relatively short text. For lengthier text passages, use copy and paste function to move native script data created in external sources into Sinopia, or use some other keyboards like a Google Chrome keyboard to do that. Recording initial article was another issue that group discussed. How different institutions handle entering initial articles. They handled it differently. And after discussions, the group recommended to leave out the initial articles in the work description for both Romanized and native script titles, but include initial articles in the instant title and add variant instance title without an article. Here is a screenshot that shows how that would be done. Transliteration in Sinopia, of course, was a very big issue for the group, and it was discussed and tested rigorously. One of the biggest issues that were identified in when we cataloged in Sinopia is that searching by title, Romanized or native script in Sinopia, brings together both work title, Romanized, and instance title in native script only when work and instance description sets include both as variants or linked by URIs through instance or for has-been frame instance elements. Adding a variant title in native script to the work template makes the retrieval more effective. And the same is true for other elements of description that currently only have the option to be entered in native scripts. They are statement of responsibility, edition statement, transcribed provider statement, series statement, and contents note. These elements do not have chance to do not have separate elements to enter transliterated variants, and will be missing in the. For example, this is I was searching for one of the Russian title that only had transliterated title in work description. So as you can see, if instance title does not have the a reference to or does not have the variant for the transliterated title, it will not show in the search results, and vice versa. If instance title, which is entered in native script, does not have the variant title in transliteration, those two instance and work templates for the same work will not be connected. So the group felt very strongly to support continuing the practice of adding Romanized data to descriptive data elements, and we came up with a statement to continue this practice. Desire to transcribe the dates exactly as they appear on the piece was very strong among non-cataloging community, and the recommended practice was that for a non-Gregorian date that appears on the piece, enter that date in the transcribed provider statement in Latin script, optionally add the corresponding date of the Gregorian calendar in square brackets after the non-Gregorian date such as shown here, but without the non-Gregorian date in brackets, and enter a standardized Gregorian date converted from a non-Gregorian calendar in the publication, distribution, manufacture, production property in the instance template as shown on the right, and add a note indicating the form or calendar in which the date appears on the piece. Here, the date appeared in the Chinese Mingguo calendar. Translations in Sinopia generated much interest and much frustration, I should say. And group had several meetings and several discussions on how to handle translations in Sinopia. The spreadsheet with best practices for different data elements and what script they should appear and how it will be linked with the original was developed. It's on the group's Google Drive. But the major problem is, as you can imagine, probably it's a model challenge. BibFrame and RDA LRM are different in conceptual models, and four-level template structure according to RDA LRM is different than the BibFrame three-level structure. This is a scheme or model that Xiaoli Li developed. It was a brilliant interpretation of BibFrame model for translations, where she showed that there are two works for each translation. There will be a work template that will be linked to the work for the original. So they both will be, translation and original will be both at the work level with one instance attached to them. And this is a RDA LRM model also developed and made a beautiful graph representation by Xiaoli Li. This is sort of remediation of this situation. When some institutions switched to the RDA LRM model in describing their resources and adapted Yale's resource template for a super work to substitute for the missing template for expression. So several institutions made modifications to standard unnested resource templates for instances by adding properties for related expressions. That was kind of another way to remedy the situation. Some institutions and groups, especially special collections cataloguers, developed resource templates for different elements at the expression level. The presence of the superwork and expression resource templates resolves some of the problems that arise when creating description sets for translations. But further investigation is required how this four-level template structure affects searching, conversion to RDF, and interoperability within Sinopia. And obviously, having two different models in treating translations, and probably it also relates to aggregate works and other resources, could present a big problem in Sinopia, and this needs to be investigated. So desired improvements. When group identified the issues that needed to be dealt with, we also came up with a list of improvements for that. And one of them were subtags for the scripts for descriptive elements. at the instance level. When cataloging materials in native scripts, it is quite common to have a title or a publisher statement in a different script than the text of the content. One of the suggestions was to use IETF BCP 47, which is the international standard for language coding that has the potential to handle the identification of scripts. Also, there were quite a few voices for adding a subtag for transliteration schema. For example, when Chinese characters romanized per Pinyin or Wei-Giles standards, it needs to be distinguished in a metadata description set. For written Chinese, there are two different types of scripts, simplified Chinese and traditional Chinese. It is essential to identify the scripts a resource is printed in. At this moment, no language code is sufficient for this purpose. There was also a strong support for adding a version number or a date to the romanization schema that will be very desirable. For example, romanization, Library of Congress romanization tables have an older pre-997 versions. Example for Khmer word, I can't read it, I'm sorry. It's just displayed, it should be displayed on your slides, but I can't read it. It is found in the LC catalog as both Nin and Ning. So in pre-1997 version and different transliteration in the latest version. Other desired improvements is develop the functionality to create automatic transliteration similar to the OCLC transliteration macros, as I put a big star next to it, because that will help tremendously. As right now, catalogers are entering data in native script and then in transliteration, either copying it from external sources or entering from scratch or using keyboards or diacritic picker and so forth. Also, issue of mixed languages and scripts are still unresolved, and since there is no way to indicate what language script is part of the data. For example, some words in a title appear in one language and script and other appear in a different script or language. Also, one of the very desired improvements, especially for the scripts, right to left scripts, to allow for bidirectional script data in a single field as possible in MARC. It is possible right now to enter bidirectional text in a single field in Sinopia. On the screen, you can see that in Sinopia, it's entered left to right, and in OCLC, which is a screenshot below, it shows how it entered bidirectionally. Sinopia is a complex and dynamic system that showed its great potential in making linked data cataloging a reality. As any newly developed system, it requires rigorous testing that will help to identify areas for improvement. The non-Latin script Affinity Group will continue to explore cataloging in native scripts in Sinopia and share findings with the Sinopia community. And I want to thank everyone for listening. And this is our new logo that appears on the LD4 website that's quite new. I think it was released last fall. It's on a Stanford website. And we have this lovely character that just before the meeting, Patricia sent me a message. She found that it's a Bengali script for letter A that was selected as a logo for our group. So that's who we are. That's our logo now. So I stop sharing my screen and I see one question in the chat. Any news on adding non-Roman scripts in the authority records for non-MARC 8 scripts? Nora, here in my talk and in the non-Latin script work, we were only concerned with bibliographic records. There was a separate discussion about lookups and ability to create authority records when this will be possible in Sinopia for non-Latin names, but I didn't cover this in my presentation, and I don't think this ability is live in Sinopia. But that would be great when it's available, when we could create authority records in Sinopia. Right now, I believe it's only the authority records only available through the authority lookups through QA, questioning authority function. And I'm not sure, I don't think it's available yet. But in authority lookups, the variants for the non-Latin scripts will be seen, will be displayed. You will see those variants. I posted this in Slack too, and Washington is writing, thanks for the presentation. Hi, all is a spreadsheet for best practices openly available. And a spreadsheet of best practices for translation is not openly available. It's on the Google's Drive. We probably could put it in a LD4P wiki web page for our group. That's a thank you for suggestion. So I think we could do this. Thank you, Jasmine. Is there any plan to have guidelines for cataloging multiple character sets in Sinopia? Well, it's a good question, Magda. That's probably what the next group should be doing. But basically, I think the recommendation was that we should continue Model A. Maybe we are conservative catalogers, I don't know, but the group strongly supported to continue to have Model A, native language and parallel romanization in metadata description sets. But that's a great suggestion. Laura is asking, any possibility of having a BIP frame extension that could add elements to the RDF describing non-Latin script materials if LC doesn't revise BIP frame to accommodate what you ask for? BIP frame extension. I don't know, but this is a good suggestion. We should make a note of it and discuss it further, probably. And I wanted to mention that group, at the time when it was active, we did not participate. We were not engaged in analysis of conversion of metadata description sets to RDF or RDF to MARC. I know that this work is underway now, and there is a separate group that looks into this. But that's should be in the future plans, but I didn't touch this because we were not engaged in this, and at that time Sinopia wasn't quite ready for that. Well, the functionality was there, but we just didn't analyze because there were some issues like you know, this message, the data wasn't loaded and those triples are not used and things like this. But this is certainly the conversion and how non-Latin script data is represented in RDF statements. And when it's converted from RDF to MARC is a big issue and potential big work for this group. Thank you, Nora. Prema. Oh, Prema, great. Thank you so much. I actually wanted to reach out to you first when I wanted to find out what that means. So we'll talk later. I don't want to tell about your news. It's Bengali vowel. It will be transliterated with A with a micron or micron over. I don't know. I mean, I like this logo, but I was thinking maybe we should find some Chinese hieroglyph for effectiveness or happiness or something, you know, productivity or something that would, or diversity, if there is such a hieroglyph. But I was thinking, because the, you know, Chinese language is great in expressing one concept in one hieroglyph, and I thought, oh, maybe we should switch to that. But this is not for today's discussion. So awesome. If it's not ready for public consumption, no worries. I might just bug you or at some point about more of this. Yeah, and sure. Yeah. Okay. I don't see. I don't see more messages in the chat. So if there are no more questions, Charlene, since PCC Babel palette uses ISO 6393 for script codes, will Sinopia only consider use BCP 47 rather than ISO? That's a good question, Charlene, and it's also something to discuss. What codes will be used, or combination of different scripts would be nice. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the combination of different scripts refers to, but for Loga. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe just, you know, different, like in my first slide for the presentation, I had this word Shliponia, which is a fictitious medieval kingdom that, by the way, Lee Billings found for our survey for Romanization report, expressed in different languages and scripts. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, that's that would be awesome if we could do something like this. Okay, I think we can move to the next agenda if there are no more questions or comments.
So I guess that would be me. I have 4 points. 4 points. One is yesterday, many of us were at the newly formed cataloging affinity group. Okay. So that group met for the first time yesterday, and I see people on this call who are on that call as well. And I think a lot of Larisa's points actually resonate with some of the points that were made yesterday. Sinopia is still being developed, and I think we have an opportunity to talk deeply with each other and communicate across the various affinity groups. So I really enjoyed that meeting very much. We were thinking we would send out a doodle poll in the middle of August for a meeting in the middle of September, convening this group together. So there are 57 people who are officially in the group. And if you would like to be a part of that doodle poll, if you could send Larisa or me a message and just let us know. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for posting Timothy. Thank you for the link to the cataloging group wiki. So we hope to develop something similar for our group. So those are the two big things. We do need to develop our affinity group wiki, our affinity group page. And so we'll be talking about that in some detail. And I guess I would just like to underscore the survey. It's very interesting because the survey brought out the relationship between area studies catalogers and our relationship with our non-librarian users, and that there's a lot of communication between the librarians and the non-librarian users, and I think was also very interesting, and Larisa brought that out. That was a really excellent presentation, Larisa. Thank you. So those are the two big things. So any difference in the charge of the group, or will this be discussed later? I do think we need to discuss that definitely when we begin reconvening in September. We need to talk about the charge. It might have changed a little bit. So I think that's an excellent question. Talk about the charge, maybe talk about what our relationship is with the catalog affinity group. I do think they have they serve two different purposes, but I think they can work together. Have I left out anything? We are very concerned about the data loss conversion as well. We just don't have much experience with it. And also just the flexibility of being able to use vernacular script in Sinopia. It's not an easy task right now. We have found ways to make it easier for ourselves, but the Sinopia tool itself is not always easy to use. Thank you for the link to the Sinopia cataloging group, PCC Sinopia cataloging group. Yes, we would like to send our invitation to a wider audience about the September meeting. I think when we were talking about it briefly, we were thinking we would try to set up a meeting time using a doodle poll with the current membership, and then maybe sending an announcement out to the wider membership. But it's kind of hard to tell. Maybe we should just set a date and just see who can show up. But I think we were hoping that maybe the core members who've participated for so long, we wanted to really make sure that that group could come, as many of that group as could participate could come. And we're hoping that if we announce the meeting 3 to 4 weeks in advance, that a wider audience will be able to make the time to come. But schedules are very tricky in September when the academic year is starting, and we appreciate that too. So that would not be our last meeting. Of course, that's a meeting where we're talking about how we want to reconvene and maybe how often we want to meet and what our role is going to be. Larisa, have I covered it all, do you think?
Yeah, so yeah, the group will reconvene, and this is a very important question. Before we move on, we really should think about our charge and nature of this group. Will it be affinity group? Will it be some, well, I guess it will stay as an affinity group, but what will be the nature of the group as a serving kind of an advisory group, advisory council to the Sinopia community about use of scripts, or maybe both, actively explore issues, identify issues, and try to find solutions for them. It's an important question, and we should discuss that definitely. That this is the first, so we should identify who we are and what do we want to do, and what is our charge. Probably it won't be that different than it was in the first iteration of the group, but I wonder if some people might have a different view of how this group should develop and evolve. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the yesterday's PCC Sinopia cataloging group, but the charge for this group is to provide training and to have a mentorship program for new members. So I think this group will have a great place for this, to welcome new members and to coach new participants in Sinopia and linked data cataloging how to deal with non-Latin scripts, and maybe developing some kind of small training module for this. I don't know, but I think there will be a great communication and in connection to this group in the future.
And if I could chime in, since hi, this is Ryan Mendenhall from
Hey.
So I'm the facilitator for the Sinopia Cataloging Affinity Group.
Oh, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're still sort of figuring things out. So we do have that charge, and I'm sure, like, so at any rate, I think that if we wanted to do like some sort of partnership, like either a presentation session, or we were considering also hosting kind of like working hours, sort of like the Wikidata group within LD4 does, kind of splits between presentations and working hours. So we would love to partner with this group to sort of do a working hour around non-Latin script access, and arrange some sessions like that down the line.
Yeah, great. That's what I was thinking about, and could be a good cooperation in the future. Thank you, Ryan. So there is a question from Iman. Talking in linked data and authority, would you consider Wikidata as a platform for non-linked data in that group? You mean to have a separate web page for the group? Iman, what do you mean by this?
Hi, Larisa. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
So my thought is, I'm involved in Wikidata, and I tend sometimes to create items for work or for entities that need non-English. And sometimes I seek like guidance on or best practices on how to deal with such items. And thinking that Wikidata is a linked data platform, and so it's not Sinopia. So I wonder if that group would touch on that topic, or we could have like some discussion about what catalogers are doing when creating Wikidata items for things that are not in English.
That's a good point. It makes me think that our connection with the Wikidata Affinity Group might be similar to our connection with the Sinopia cataloging group. Our interests overlap.
Yeah, right now we are still kind of attached to Sinopia because this is our only testing environment, right? But Wikidata is another testing environment, that's for sure, Iman. So that's, I think it's totally possible and will be very interesting in how non-Latin script data is used and represented in Wikidata, and what are the best practices. That would be very interesting task to include in the future charge, or maybe just to have one project, or maybe it will be an ongoing project. I don't know, but that would be something to discuss. That's an interesting idea. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So we have 6 minutes left. Patricia, we didn't ask our members what's going on. Are there any updates on their Sinopia cataloging work? Maybe anybody wants to share very briefly? Anything?
We were going to have a round robin, and then we thought maybe that was a bit beyond the bandwidth of many of us at this point.
But if somebody is actively continues to participate in the Sinopia, and there are like a different, maybe there are some changes in how non-Latin scripts are entered, or something different from what it was last year, you are welcome to share. What about CGK community? How do you enter scripts in Sinopia now when the diacritic picker is missing all the scripts? You're just copying and pasting? If anyone from a CGK community here. It was there before, but not currently.
What would you think about putting the round robin on, or a bit of a round robin on the agenda for September as we look at our charge and where we're going? What do you think about that idea?
Yes, definitely, but maybe to have some kind of a first meeting and then deciding, and if it's a round robin or maybe a small poll or a small survey, maybe we can work together with the group on this survey, what kind of questions we should ask, and so.
We do not have a Slack channel.
Oh, we do.
We do for our non-Latin group.
Yeah, and LD4P. Yeah, and LD4P. Yeah. It with a non-Latin hashtag, non-Latin, but it was archived recently, so the previous messages are not available, but it is live.
Oh.
So I don't know how to unarchive. I'm not sure if, I guess if we ask Michelle, she could release the previous messages, because she archived this sub channel for the Slack. Yeah, we do have a Slack channel. For this group, for some reason, it didn't really work. And I was missing some of the messages because for some reason, doesn't matter how I tried, I did not have notifications of from this channel. Maybe because I wasn't owner, maybe because Xiaoli Li established it, and so I wasn't getting it. And I would miss some questions, like see them like in a week or two, so that wasn't good. So the Slack kind of didn't work well for us before, but maybe in a new version of the group, maybe that will work better. We should try it.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
Larisa, the
Yeah.
Slack channel was set up, I think, by LD4P groups. I think in general, unless somebody mentioned your name, like tagged you or pin you, you wouldn't receive the notification. So you just have to go to the space to see if there's any new message. And I know now I have too many Slack channels. I have to constantly go into them because it doesn't come to me unless somebody has that me at that sign, then I will get pop-up.
Right, right. But I was trying to set up notifications so that any messages to this particular channel, I will get notification, and it never worked. Yeah, I know when you have like a direct message, like, at Larisa or whatever, you would get it. But I was trying to set it up so that I will get any message that comes to this line, and it never worked. So I probably wasn't a very good co-chair. I missed some of the communications there, didn't welcome new members. Sorry for that.
Well, maybe we can get better at using our Slack channel. I'm on Slack right now, and I have to admit that our channel was very quiet.
We
slacked off.
We slacked off. Yeah.
We'll be better at that.
Okay, I think we are at the time. Thank you to Larisa and Patricia for leading this. And thanks to everybody with us. And I just posted the two things on the chat. One is if you have further questions, you'd like to continue the conversation. For this conference, we do have a specific Slack channel just for the non-Latin sort of track programs. So feel free to post your questions there. And I also posted the Slack channel name for the Affinity Group. Whether it's still working or not,
it is working. I just got in.
Good.
So it is working.
Okay, good. Maybe you all will start using it a little bit more, then can make it more useful channel. With that, I'd like to close this session. Again, thank you so much for both presenters and audience, and continue the conversation on whichever Slack channel you choose to use. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larisa.
Everyone.
It was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Xiaoli.
Thank you.
Patricia, you did
I'm
great.
still here. I'll leave. Thank you so much for everything.
I stopped the recording. So what I'm trying to say is, I think I may not be able to help too much at least at the very beginning, because we are moving into a new system starting the end of this month.
Okay.
But next year, or maybe towards the end of the year, I might be able to active in the group. But I definitely.
Oh, I'm losing you. Oh, I think we got kicked out because I think it's 2. I think they close us down.